least all it took fun. Thank you, all stick. Now here's the head football coach from the University of Oklahoma, Bob Stoops.
Thank you, Michael, and welcome everybody. Going back through and reviewing the Louisiana-Monroe game, just as I said after the game, was really just very pleased that we played the way we're capable of, without foolish penalties, taking care of the football, without very few mental errors, those kind of things. Really played in a pretty sound way. I thought offensively, Baker was excellent, very decisive, getting the ball out quick. And I thought a lot of receivers all really played well. A lot of guys made plays, made big plays, and we're consistent catching the ball and executing. So that was also good. Thought our running backs really played well. Offensive line was good, and so we had the balance that you like to have, and really I thought had a good day. The two players of the game were Baker Mayfield and Dimitri Flowers. Dimitri really had an excellent game, and that was a big help as well. Defensively, very solid. We're very good, again, against the run. Limited, really, the execution overall with the whole first group was really solid, really good. I had two breakdowns in the second half that one safety checked something that he shouldn't have, and the other, a corner, just didn't get to the position he needed to on some basic coverage. But other than that, everybody was really good in the way they played. Players of the game were Jordan Evans and Obaniah Okoronkwo had another excellent game. So those two guys were the players of the game. And but again, very solid kicking game. Thought Austin was really good, the way he hit the ball. So really solid, and I realized the level of competition isn't what we're used to playing, but I like the fact that we took care of things that we could control and played in a better fashion that way. On to this week, big week with Ohio State here coming to town. Excellent football team that everybody knows. Coach Urban Meyer and his staff do a great job, great tradition. Really exciting week for everybody. They're some key guys, of course, offensively, everything goes through J.T. Barrett, an exceptional athlete at quarterback, throwing the football really well to a lot of excellent players. Curtis Samuel, number 4, is a guy that first comes to mind in the way so many different ways they get him the football, and electrifying guy in the way he can run. Got an excellent running back in Weber as well. And Wilson, another great athlete that they put it wide out and can play in the backfield as well. So talented guys around all of them. Defensively, same thing, very sound. Haven't given up a touchdown yet this year. Very, very good defense. 4-man front. Most of the time they'll get into some of the 3-man front, but mostly 4-man front with a lot of good players. Love their middle linebacker, McMillan, great player, and really love their free safety. Hooker is a great athlete back there, covers a ton of ground, already has 3 interceptions, so really good player. But anyway, I know it'll be a big challenge. Guys are, of course, everybody here is excited about it. I know the fans are, and it'll be a great week to get ready for, and we got to enjoy the competition.
What's your injury situation?
Injuries, let's see. Not everything is checked out. DJ Ward checked out well. Should be, just depends on when he's back to practice this week, but he should be okay. Same with Tay Evans. Just had a minor bruise on his hip, but he checked out okay. Charles seemed to be better yesterday. Charles Walker was better yesterday, so that's encouraging. Should be back sometime here this week.
Alex Dalton?
Alex is okay. Daniel Brooks may be out. We'll see how he goes here through the week.
What does playing a game like this do for your program? Some programs don't play games like this, but what does it do for you?
Well, when you play these games and win them, it gives you a boost. You know, they're exciting for everybody. You know, they're challenging in the great competition that you're going against. But you know, they can give you a lift when you win, and you know, they force you to really, you know, have a great week of practice to make improvement, especially early in the year here. So everyone realizes the challenge of it all.
Bob, in the game on Saturday, the corner opposite Jordan Thomas, did it become clearer for you what you can do in the future?
We'll see. Those guys all played better, you know, outside of the one play, and that's more of a mental error than anything. But, you know, all of those guys, you know, played in a better way this past week. So we'll work on that this week and see who it is.
Could you possibly play multiple guys again?
Possibly.
Nixon return punts.
Joe can return punts, and you know, and possibly will this week.
How tough is it, Bob? So much you got to work to motivate a team throughout the week. Do you kind of have to tamper down emotions during a week on a week like this?
I don't know if you have to tamper down emotions, but you definitely have to concentrate on what really matters, and that's the work you do on the field and the film room and those kind of things, and you know, and ignore the rest of it. You know, pay attention to what makes you, you know, perform at your best, and that's what we'll emphasize.
How close is Michael Jones being where you're just comfortable with putting him out there at any time?
Much closer. Played well the other day. You know, showed a lot of good things. Had one mental mistake, but you know, but he's getting closer.
How will your cornerbacks rotate this week?
We'll see. It's only Monday. We don't know yet.
How tough is it, Bob, when you had things you're displeased with in Houston Saturday night, more pleased, but as you said, the competition level is so different. How can you have a good grasp on exactly what kind of improvement you made?
It's really simple. You know, regardless of who you play, you can rough the quarterback and give people, you know, instead of being out of a series, give them a series that leads to points. We had multiple opportunities to rough their quarterback the other night, and we didn't do that. We kicked all our balls without starting and stopping and starting again, the way we do all the time, and hit them solidly. So you know, those are just some examples of, you know, what I'm talking about. Fewer mental errors overall. So. Go ahead.
The players said, in response to my question, that the atmosphere here Saturday was loud, fans were involved, you know, the stadium being renovated and reconfigured. How did you see that?
It seemed great. I'll be honest, I kind of paid attention when I took the field and, you know, waiting for the coin toss, looked around and thought it looked great, and seemed like, you know, what you can tell, that everybody was having fun up there. And then I didn't look at it again until I took the field on the second half, probably only because we were up 42-0, or I wouldn't have looked up again. So, you know, I'm watching the field and the pieces moving around, and, you know, but it seemed like everybody enjoyed it, and from what I heard, and it seemed louder, you know, for especially a game, you know, that's out of hand early, but it seemed to be, you know, make it have an effect.
You're involved in the communication process as a coach. When your fans are louder, you can tell. Say you're trying to talk to your defense, you can tell if your fans are louder. And does
definitely.
it impact how you do things?
It doesn't. You know, it doesn't really impact. It can impact how you're, you know, receiving the snap and things like that when you're on when it's loud, and it can affect, you know, how you're communicating with players and coaches when it's that loud. I mean, you know, sometimes you just have to put your headsets back on to have a conversation, you know, but anyway, it's you know, it definitely creates and has an effect on the other team.
Now in 2008, you famously asked the fans to come out and get loud, and I guess you did
Probably
it again.
not in the correct way, but I did. I challenged them to have an effect on the game, and then they did. They sure did, and everybody still shows that jump around video of, you know, of our ruckus crowd. So hopefully we can give them something to cheer about and have the same kind of atmosphere.
You don't typically do that. you did it again in 2012 when Notre Dame came here. Is this something that you want?
I haven't, I don't recall doing anything for Notre Dame. The only one I recall is making a poor statement in 2008.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking about more of a, hey, we want the fans to come out and be loud. You probably say that up anytime, but
I
Ohio
say it
State
probably
brings
more
it out,
than,
right?
yeah, it's you know, it's been said a lot with whatever other nice games we've had here.
Bob, they only returned 6 players, but when you turn on the film, can you just see immediately that this team is a really special team?
Yeah, you see excellent players. I mean, you know, they've got good, you know, good players at every spot, and you know, they're coached well, which is obvious, and you see the athleticism, you know, the speed everywhere.
Bob, you played. Bobby Evans got his first start at right tackle. How did that go with you and Samia inside?
Yeah, it went well. Bobby did a nice job there, and you know, and Drew is doing well inside. I believe he'll get better. You know, there's a little bit of an adjustment in there, you know, but he's had a really good game again, and you know, but he's a guy that, you know, that'll keep getting better in there. But that combination seemed to, you know, play well for us.
Neville Gallimore seemed to have a really good game Saturday. Does that kind of move him up in that rotation along that D-line?
Yeah, Neville did play well and continues to get better, so that gives you more confidence to keep playing him more snaps. So yeah, you know, we like what he's doing, so he'll definitely, you know, be getting more and more playing time.
Caleb Kelly.
Caleb played well. He and Capri both did a really good job out there, you know, in that Sam position, and like what they did.
Will Johnson back this week?
He is back.
Is the offensive
Should
line
be back. I shouldn't say yet, but in all likelihood he will be.
Is the offensive line set then? Is that the way you'll enter this game?
It'll be up to Coach Beedenbow, but he generally, you know, sees how guys are working through the week, and sure we'll decide that later in the week.
Earlier this summer came out Ohio State and Oklahoma, the top 2 programs in the AP according to their rankings. When you play games like this, what's it do for college football when you have 2 mega programs facing off against each other? What does that do for college football?
Well, I think it's exciting, you know, for college football fans, even that aren't Oklahoma and Ohio State fans. Everybody likes to see these kind of matchups, and you know, they're exciting for everybody, really.
Did you grow up watching Ohio State football? And also, how iconic was Woody Hayes during that time when you were growing up in Ohio?
Yeah, I grew up watching Ohio State football. I can't say that we were, you know, Buckeye fans. Everyone, of course, you watched them and paid attention, and of course, everybody was, you know, knew of and loved Woody Hayes, you know, and his legend, and loved his teams, and you know, he had great teams, you know, great players, and so building that tradition for such a long time, you know. So when you're in Ohio, you know of it for sure.
Do you know of Dean helping winning the game, Bob?
You would have been a junior in high school?
What?
Did you know of Dean helped winning that game? Did you see him?
Yeah, I've seen that plenty of times. Yeah,
Talked about it hundreds of times.
you know, we should have showed it a little bit. I'm sorry, you were.
No, that's okay. I'm staying on that game as well, 77 game. You would have been a junior in high school?
17, so I would have been a senior. I was I went to Iowa at 17, so I was.
78, yeah. So recollections of the game? Did you watch it? It was.
Can't really remember. Yeah, I don't know that you know, I don't remember seeing it, to be honest. I've seen it so many times I feel like I saw it, but no, I can't say that where I was when I was watching it. I can't.
Uva told me that you told him last year, hey, we're bringing you on the plane. Still part of the plan?
Yeah, next year
Yeah.
Uva goes with us, no doubt. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, if he'll behave, we'll see.
You being an Ohio guy, you have to like hide your cell phone a little bit more this week, or?
You know, I don't. Graciously, my family said, I asked, you know, in the summer, I said, who's all coming? I want to get this taken care of early, and none of them are coming. So they said, you have enough you're going to have to deal with. We're not going to bother you. So that's a loving family when they're going to give up coming to this game to let you do your work. And although I got a few nieces and nephews coming, they're not quite as concerned about me.
What did Ohio State football mean to you growing up and as, say, a high schooler?
Oh, it was, they were iconic. They were like Oklahoma, Ohio State, all the, the ones that traditionally have that tradition that goes back, 50, 60 years, they were always one of the elite teams that you paid attention to and followed and watched when you could. Everyone wasn't on all the time. So you always thought it was a treat when one of those type of schools was on and you got to see them.
Seems like you and Urban Meyer have a mutual respect. What makes him a good coach?
What makes Urban a good coach? I haven't coached with him, but I can only imagine, just because of all the success, the attention to detail, relating to players, relating to coaches, motivating, coaches, players, all of it together, when you've had all that success, go hand in hand. So attention to detail, those kind of things.
A few years ago, after he left Florida, I understand you were a guy he met with to talk about maybe balancing life and football. Do you remember that? Or
well, we talked, but that wouldn't be for me to speak on. I feel I've been comfortable with overall with the balance of my life and the way I've gone about it, and so. But Urban has a great family, and he's done a super job everywhere he's been. So, and he's a good guy. When you visit with him.
Did he recommend that book to you, Lead for God's Sake by Todd Gongwer?
I passed that book out to my staff when it first came out. I read it. I don't know who sent it to me. I'll have to read the cover again. But I read it when I got it, and I got copies for all my staff.
Bob, Ashtabula is what, an hour from north of Youngstown?
Yeah, up on the lake.
Yeah. You
used to vacation up there.
Oh yeah? Any stories?
A lot, but can't divulge all of them.
Of the 5 active head coaches who have won national championships, 3 of them are from the state of Ohio. What is it about that area that we see? I mean, we've heard the cradle of coaches and all that, but this is a great matchup between 2 Ohio guys that probably ought to highlight.
Probably, I would say, football has always been, important there. And I think it goes back to all the great high school coaches in the area. Not only head high school coaches, assistant high school coaches, where there's so many of them, that I believe, that are quality coaches, do it the right way, innovative, so I just think, and it's, football has always been, so strong there, and population base is very large, a lot of big cities, that all have quality football programs.
Bob, you were disappointed that Mike, and I'm sure the other coaches were in the first game, not winning many competitive plays is how you guys talked about it. Did you have enough competitive plays the other night? Was that
well? We had some. There's probably not as many as you're going to have, but you've got to be able to make those plays. So we're that's what practice is all about, and that's what we'll keep working.
The other night in that regard,
but again, the competition's going to be different, but still, there's, like I said, when you still make plays that you're capable of making, it's always a positive.
When you've had big bowl games in the past, you've always had former players, some of your best players show up to practice. And Obo was telling us how Charles Walker and Dominic Alexander and Zach Sanchez reached out to him after the Houston loss. How important is that for your program to have those guys that come back that let your team know now that they want to, have them to be successful and talk to them about approach?
It matters. Those guys, especially when they know each other, it's always encouraging, when you have fellow guys that care about you, or paying attention to what you're doing and appreciate what you're doing, and and motivate and encourage you. So it's always positive, and our guys really do a pretty good job of it.
Did you know the rule that no one in Stillwater knew Saturday?
You know, I don't want to say that I knew the rule, but it's unfortunate. It's like I said on my show that the very first pass that Louisiana Monroe threw the other night, we had about a 5-10 minute review whether it was complete or not, and we can't take 10 or 15 minutes to review whether they should have another down or not. It just doesn't seem, fathomable that happened, But we run the same play, so I don't want to. I'm not disagreeing with Mike, but I thought it was a good call what he did, and when we do it, we run a receiver down the boundary and try and do the same thing. But bottom line is, it's the right thing to do, and when ruled correctly.
Saturday, Mark became the fastest to 10 touchdowns in school history. Do you have any thoughts about that? And just kind of what that says about him?
Mark, he's an excellent player. He's an unusual matchup. And a great route runner, great hands. So, and our offensive guys of Coach Riley has done a great job of finding big plays for him.
What does that do for the rest of the offense when the defense has to deal with a 6'5", 250-pound guy that can beat you down the field?
Well, it's you just pay attention to how you're matching up with them. Can the linebacker run with them? Depending on how deep it is, can a safety, match up with his size? There's always kind of looking at those kind of things.
On the other side, is Curtis Samuel a guy that you have to pay particular attention to in that way?
Absolutely. He's they play him everywhere, and exceptional speed and quickness. So, definitely a guy you have to know where he is all the time.
How similar are Houston and Ohio State's style of offense, and does it benefit you this week?
They're similar. They have a lot of similarities, of course. Each will do a few things a little bit different, but overall there's a lot of carryover.
And does that benefit you?
Well, it does. That you've practiced against it, quite a bit, and now you got a chance to hopefully make some adjustments from it as well.
You and Urban both have a lot of former assistants that are now head coaches. Is that something you measure yourself on?
No, we both have had a lot of former assistants go on to head coaches. I don't know that I'm measuring myself on that. I think we both just say that we're always glad and happy for those coaches and families that get a chance to go do it. You're always pay attention and proud when they do well. So but I'm not sitting here measuring myself with it.
You talked about the offenses being similar, but how beneficial is it to have specifically gone against Ward in the Houston game, and now you're dealing with another guy, dual threat type guy?
Yeah, again, there's some advantage there that we've dealt with a guy similar, and you can try and tweak and adjust some things that maybe you thought you could have done better. The other side of that is they got to see how you want to play it, so they get to make their adjustments as well.
Bob, would you think that in the off season that there would be communication between staffs? Would it be natural for Houston with that coach, with the former Ohio State coach, and
absolutely.
Ohio State?
Sure, and I'm sure there's been conversations this week and last week. So, yeah, that's only
in the off season. Yeah.
Sure. Just like we relate in conversations with a lot of people as well, in the off season.
Did you ever go to a game in Columbus, Bob, before you got to Iowa City?
No.
First time you were there, you played.
Yeah.
Remember about that?
Oh, don't make me. Didn't go real well, so I'd prefer not to. But my dad being a high school coach, he was games Friday and sometimes Saturday, I think, even back then, and then so we didn't really go to games.
Joe's had some really good games the last couple of weeks. Are you going to try to get him more involved in the offense, Joe Mixon?
Joe, yeah, more involved. I don't know. We're trying. He's involved about as much as he's able to. So he has been excellent. Joe's been great. Very well could have been a player of the game this week as well. Just catching the ball, running, everything. He's really been good.
Going
forward, as he, becomes bigger and bigger, what's going to be your policy on letting us talk to him?
Yeah, it's something we've talked about, and I've talked about with the administration, and we're working on that. So there's a possibility.
Bob, he looks a natural catching punts. I mean, that was the first time back. Is there any hesitancy about putting him out against Ohio State after not catching it?
Not really, not really, and there's a possibility that can happen. I think Dean's trying to encourage me to do it, I think. You don't, Dean, you don't need to encourage me too much, believe me. I see it too.
My question, though, is really more, he looks a natural back there, the way he fielded punts, and I just wondered what you had seen from him.
He is. He does, and he is natural doing it.
What's the one thing or a couple things that worries you about Ohio State that you got to take away or you want to take away?
Well, several, They're, again, starts with their quarterback. They do a great job. The balance, being able to run and throw. Their quickness on the outside. Defensively, same thing. Their strength up front. Quick in the secondary. So, that enough for you?
I'll take more.
Diamond and Roberts playing Saturday?
Yes.
Did you hold them out week 2 just because of the nature of the competition the first 2 weeks?
That's not to be discussed. It's just how it worked out with the administration and us through a year-long process.
In high school, did you ever think about playing for Ohio State?
At high school, did I ever think about playing at Ohio State? Would have loved to have, but wasn't recruited at Ohio State, and was very fortunate to go to Iowa. So I've always felt blessed that I had that opportunity, because it really worked out great for not only myself but my brothers as well.
Who'd you root for growing up? You said you weren't big Ohio State people growing up. Who were you?
I had a cousin, Eddie Moore, who played at Michigan, and I kind of remember, just following Michigan a little bit more, because I was at a young age when I started to pay attention, and I had a distant cousin that played at Michigan, but really wasn't a Michigan fan. I'm just saying I maybe followed them a little bit more because of that, and I just wasn't a fan really of any particular team, just in our house it wasn't that way. My father wasn't one that followed any one particular team, and so it's kind of split between Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, and I told you, I always loved Oklahoma. Not that I was every bit an Oklahoma fan as following any of them that were those other schools that were close that everybody followed back in our area, just because of the style of play, Coach Switzer and how they won, and the exciting, watching what was more fun than watching the wishbone, team that drop it 7 times on the ground and still win by 50, So, and all the great running backs. I remember watching Joe, of course, Washington, but I vividly remember Greg Pruitt, Steve Owens, all those guys. They were fun to watch.